Welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty deep, a biblical call to be prepared, to be responsible.
Yeah, and we're specifically looking at how teachings like Mark 13 and the parable of the talents really push for an active life.
Yeah, we want to contrast that, interestingly, with this feeling of, well, absurdity, this idea that maybe life is meaningless, so why bother?
Right, that connects to the theater of the absurd. Remember that mid-20th century stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reflects that feeling that life sometimes just doesn't make sense. No clear beginning, middle, or end, you know?
And the classic example, the one everyone knows, is Samuel Beckett's play, Waiting for Godot. Nobel Prize winner, I think.
That's the one. Super simple plot, right?
Yeah.
These two guys, Vladimir and Estragon, they just wait.
Wait for Godot.
Yeah.
Who might be God, might not be. They don't really know.
Exactly. And they have no idea what to do while they wait. They just argue, they fret. It's this picture of a really futile, almost absurd existence. Aimless waiting.
Okay, so that's the setup, that kind of passive, what's the point? Waiting.
Yeah.
How does the biblical text respond?
Well, it responds very directly. It says that's precisely what not to do. Mark 13, verse 32 kicks it off. Jesus says flat out, nobody knows the day or the hour.
Nobody. Not the angels, not even the Son, only the Father.
Right. And that immediately dismisses any attempt to, calculate the end times. Remember all those predictions back in the 90s?
Oh, I do, yeah. So if you can't know when, the focus has to shift, right?
Exactly. It shifts from timing to conduct. How should we be living now while we wait?
And Jesus gives commands for that.
Two very specific commands right there in the next verse, Mark 13.33, verse 1. Be alert or take heed.
Okay, be alert. What does that mean practically?
It's about spiritual direction. Like keeping your eyes open, knowing where you're supposed to be heading. It means watching out for deceptions, false teachings.
Like the false Christs and false prophets mentioned in the chapter.
Precisely. Keep your spiritual sight aimed correctly. Don't get sidetracked.
Okay, so that's direction, looking outward. What's the second command?
The second is stay awake.
Stay awake. How's that different from be alert? Sounds similar.
It is related, but it's more about your internal spiritual state. Alertness is the focus. Staying awake is the energy, the readiness.
Ah, so it's fighting against that feeling of, spiritual drowsiness. That, maybe this won't happen, I'll just get comfortable kind of feeling.
You got it.
Yeah.
Avoiding that spiritual numbness or laziness. And importantly, both commands are in a Greek tense that means continuous action. It's not a one-off thing. It's daily.
Keep watch, stay sharp. Every day.
And this whole instruction, this context of waiting actively, leads directly into the parable of the talents. Verse 34 sets it up.
Right, the master goes on a journey, leaves his servants in charge, gives them tasks, and tells the doorkeeper specifically to stay awake.
Yes, that's the framework. Now, within that framework, we see that same kind of real-world, absurdity or unfairness, maybe.
You mean how some servants get 5 talents, some get 2, one gets only 1?
Yeah.
Exactly. It reflects life, doesn't it? You see these stories, I read about some 19-year-old somewhere who, because of inheritance or whatever, has effectively earned $140,000 a day since birth. It seems wildly unequal.
Yeah, and when you see that, it's easy to feel like the guy with 1 talent. Like, what difference can my little bit make? The temptation to just bury it must be huge.
It must be. But here's the crucial part of the parable, the key distinction the text makes.
Okay.
The failure of the 1 talent servant wasn't that he got less. That wasn't the issue.
So what was it?
It was that he was spiritually asleep. He let the perceived unfairness or maybe fear paralyze him. He buried the talent.
He didn't do anything with what he was given.
Right. He failed the mission. He didn't use his time, his abilities, his resources, whatever that talent represented for him. His passivity, his lack of action, that was the problem. He wasn't awake.
Wow. Okay. So it brings us back to that contrast.
Absolutely. You have the waiting for Godot characters, stuck in futile, passive waiting.
Versus the active, purposeful, meaningful waiting that Jesus commands. It's about stewardship while you wait.
Exactly. Using what you have, diligently, faithfully, staying alert and awake.
And that final command in Mark 13, verse 37, really hammers it home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Stay awake. And
He says, and what I say to you, I say to all, it's universal.
it applies to everyone. No exceptions. Be active. Be ready.
Turn that potential feeling of absurdity or unfairness into fuel for meaningful action.
So that leaves us, and you listening, with something to think about. A final challenge, maybe. What talents, and remember, that could be abilities, time, resources, opportunities. What talents might you have kind of buried right now, maybe out of discouragement or just feeling spiritually tired.
Yeah, what's sitting unused?
And the real question is, how can you start digging that up, putting it into active use starting today? How can you choose to stay awake?